Hey guys, this is Tom from Numbers Game Lifestyle, and today we're going to be talking about Social Circle Game. This is going to be a case study in which a guy is really big into Social Circle Game. And this is something that I don't really recommend for most men because it's a very personality dependent game. If you are a very extroverted guy that loves being around people, loves talking to people, loves striking up conversations and inviting them out, getting people together, you're going to be the big leader of this social circle. If that's you and you don't like to be alone, if you're alone and you're with your own thoughts, you're always like, man, like I need to find someone to talk to. That means that you are a social circle guy. You are an extroverted guy that really thrives in the social circle environment. Some of my best friends are these extroverted guys that, they strike up conversations with a lot of people. And they're very, big into making friends and cultivating those social circles. Okay. And if that is you, then this is something to pay attention to. Maybe like day game and online game isn't your thing. Maybe social circle is really what you should be pursuing. Let's have a look at this guy and see like what exactly is he doing to get access to women. Let's have a look. Okay, he titles it So Close Yet So Far. The Girl. I did an internship some years ago and got myself elected to a committee that gave me a lot of visibility with other interns. Okay, that's the thing. Like these social guys, these social circle guys, they put in a lot of work to advance themselves in social environments. It is a lot of work, okay? This is not an easy way to get laid. It is only for guys that really love the social circle environment, and whether they get laid or not, they don't care. If they go to all this trouble to set up a social circle, where everybody comes to his place to party and, he's the main guy. If he doesn't get laid, he's okay with that. Just the fact that he put together all these people and got them all together, that is enough for him, to be seen as like the top guy that, brings everybody together. That's enough for them. You can't be like, oh man, if I don't get laid, like all this work that I put in, it's for nothing. That's not the way social guys think. That's not the way social circle guys think. They would do this regardless if they got laid or not, because they want to be part of like a group. They want to be a leader of the group. Okay, so if that's you, then social circle is for you. One of the initiatives I spearheaded was a movie night. To the first of these, a girl I barely knew from the internship showed up, among others. See, again, these social circle guys are putting it out there. I'm throwing a movie night. I'm throwing parties. Bring everybody. They give a lot. They're constantly giving, inviting people out to their house, to party, to have a movie night. That is what social circle guys do. That is what they have to do. This girl has big, beautiful eyes, and otherwise not really pretty face, and amazing body. I didn't know it at the time, but even though I was already in my early 30s, she was in her early 20s. Yeah, that is not a problem for most men. Sometime later, I organized a house party to which she came, and I remember she walked in with boots and she appeared to be quite dominant demeanor. It might have been a phase. Turns out this chick dresses in a way a bit incongruent with what she's like, as in she's actually feminine and a good girl despite dressing like a masculine bad girl. See, notice again, he's throwing parties. This is what social circle guys do. They throw parties. They throw movie nights. They invite everybody to come. It is a lot of work to do social circle game, okay? Even though she ignored my invite to come to my birthday last year, I still somehow decided to invite her to the housewarming. And even though she said she wasn't sure if she'd be around, I still gave her the details and she still ended up coming. Notice something here. This guy knew this girl. He's been working on her for over a year. This is why social circle really doesn't have very much abundance compared to cold approach or online dating. Because look at how long this has come to pass. He knows this girl for a year, and he's finally getting a date with her. It's these guys are very patient, okay? I would never put in this amount of work, to get a date. He knew this girl from a year. Not exactly an abundance mentality. This time around, I was quite attracted to her. She wasn't wearing boots. All traces of the dominant version of herself had evaporated, and she had this cute giggle, laugh that turned me on. Shortly into talking to her with relative isolation, I asked her if she had a boyfriend. She said she didn't. She asked me if I had a girlfriend. I said I didn't. I asked her if she'd be down to grab a drink sometime. She said she would. So this guy has been knowing this girl for like a year's time, and he's only now asking her out. Think about how much easier it is to just go up to a woman on the street, anywhere else, and just ask them out. You cut through all this work to get to the point, and you find out this girl is single. Like, why go through all this song and dance of, throwing parties, inviting her out to all this stuff, finally asking her if she's available? You can cut through all of that online. You can cut through all of that on day game. You can cut through all of that on night game. You don't have to worry about all this work. But here's the thing with these social circle guys. They like the work. They like inviting people out. They like gathering people together, whether they get laid or not. It really doesn't matter to them. Okay? Dealing with resistance, setting up the date. In the days after the party, I texted her thanking her for coming and telling her it was nice to see her. And she texted back saying she had enjoyed it and thanking me for having her. I remember reading her text and getting a hard on. I was already thinking about having her in another sense. Yeah, that's the thing with this. Because he's put so much effort, he's known this girl for so long, and it's finally happening. He's finally getting a date. Like, look at how needy this is. It's like he's texting her and he's getting aroused. I texted her, let's get a drink sometime tomorrow. And she texted back something positive. And then I suggested 2 dates and a time, already with the name of the bar. And she picked one. Fantastic. This is the way I do it. I say, this place, this time, can you make it? Okay, I don't go like, what's your schedule like? Okay, this is a smart way of doing it. She picked one, of course. It makes it easy for her. Like, that day works, that time works, I can do that. We settled on that day, time, and bar, except a day or two before the day we were supposed to meet, she texted back asking if I couldn't pick a bar closer to her neighborhood since it would be quite far for her. Yeah, a little bit of a red flag here, but look at how he handles it. And again, this guy's known her for a while. He's been in her periphery for a while, so it's not like a complete stranger here. I responded with an audio message saying I didn't know any good bars in that neighborhood, and that was the reason I suggested an earlier time, so she would have time to get back home at a decent hour in anticipation of her workday the next day. Fantastic. He's like, look, I accommodated you. I put out there, like, I made sure it was an early time so you'd have plenty time to drive back home. Very accommodating. This is what good logistics is about. You plan the date to make it easier for her to meet you and make it easier for you. You cut out all the, fluff that can get in the way. That is like prime logistics. You plan the date according that makes it good for her and makes it good for you. Only 2 hours before the date, she texted back, let's go to your bar then, with a happy smiley. Exactly. He handled it perfectly. He's like, I got you. Like, we're going to do this early so you have plenty of time to go back. There's no worrying about, coming to your neighborhood now. I wasn't even expecting her to accept. Yeah, that is kind of rare. Usually when a girl's like, come to my area, it's like, it's not happening. So I had to rush a little bit to do everything, chores, before meeting her at the allotted time. One thing I had forgotten to do the day before Wednesday, due to feeling hungover and exhausted, was buy a pack of condoms. Yeah, I'm kind of a problem. The date. Anyways, I went to meet her after a short meditation. I took her to 2 bars. In the first bar, I was asking her about herself and talking about myself, connecting. In the second bar, where very soon into it, I seated the pole to my place, I started asking her about her relationships. During this bit, I was connecting with her. Like me, she doesn't do online dating. This is fantastic. This kind of highlights the point that the majority of single women aren't on dating apps, okay? Most women actually hate dating apps. So the majority of single women out there are not posting online. They're not advertising themselves on Tinder or on Hinge or on anything like that. They're just waiting, for a guy to come in, a guy to come and sweep her off her feet. And you can do that through cold approach, night game, and this guy's doing social circle game. So yes, I hear a lot of guys saying like, Oh, like every woman, single woman does online dating. If that were the case, there'd be equal number of men and women on dating apps, but there is not. The men outnumber the women like 4 to 1 in most cases, sometimes like 8 to 1. Okay, so there's a ton more men on these dating apps than women. The majority of women don't like using dating apps, so they stay clear of them. That is why the only way you have access to these women, these single and ready to mingle women, is through cold approach. Night game, social circle game, online game will not find these girls because they're not on there. We discovered that unlike me, she was a good girl and I was a bit of a wild guy in my teens, early 20s. I still held into the frame that sex is a good thing and it should be pursued regardless of whether or not you will end up dating that person in the end. The way I transmit this was when they start the whole a relationship can only work if two people share the same values, is to simply ask her if she's already met a guy she got along with really well, whose personality she really liked, only to later find out when they got in bed together that he was very bad in bed. Attraction is immediate, I told her. She said, you need to talk to the person first to see what they're like. I told her if that was true, we wouldn't be here anymore. Think about it. Human beings were procreating long before they could talk. This is kind of nonsense. I wouldn't go into all this if she's saying like, oh, people have to know each other. It is very true. Like, it's not like you just go up to a woman and be like, let's have sex. Okay. There has to be a little bit of a comfort thing there. Okay. At least in this day and age, maybe caveman times they did that, but there is a bit of a comfort, barrier that you have to overcome. You have to get to know them a little bit. Sometimes it can only be like a 5-minute conversation. You're at a bar, things are heating up. Sometimes it doesn't take much, but there has to be a little bit of a comfort thing. I also told her a recent story about this girl I had mostly had a sex-based relationship with for 1.5 years around 2018, who I'm still connected to. But I didn't say I wouldn't be open to having a girlfriend or to getting married and having kids. Quite the contrary, in fact. Yeah, so he's just saying like, he's a sex positive guy that if the right woman comes around, he's not opposed to settling down. I met her at 8. At 10:30, I took her to my place. Yeah, nice. Inside, it was smooth sailing, no resistance. On the bed on which I'd thrown her once I had started kissing her, clothes came off progressively. I made sure to take my time and savor every moment. This girl is really hot. She's also very responsive. She was already squirming and getting all riled up and eventually having mini orgasms just from me kissing her, groping her big breasts, groping her butt cheeks, sucking her nipple. Okay, we get it, dude. I asked her if she was on the pill, and like the Greek dancer from Tuesday night, she said she wasn't. Then she said, you have to wear protection. Yeah, this is what I find as well. The majority of women that I end up, hooking up with aren't on the pill. It's very rare. And I've kind of like teased out why that is. Women that aren't on the pill tend to look for more masculine men because, yeah, they're not pregnant. Okay, so they're looking for the best genes, the hottest guy, the most masculine guy that they can get. Whereas women that are on the pill, their bodies have been tricked into thinking that they are pregnant. In which case, they've done studies on this. The women are actually more attracted to safe guys that look like they're not a threat, that won't cause them trouble. Okay? They're safe. They're not going to do like fight or anything like that. What you would call a beta guy. Their preferences change depending on if the woman is pregnant or not. And yeah, you'll notice that. Sometimes you will run into women that are on the pill, but the majority of the time, they're not. And of course, she says, like, you have to wear protection. This is good. This is a smart woman. Like, I respect this. I then went to look for a condom in my drawer and even my cell phone light to help me without success. I remembered I'd seen a 7-Eleven close by. I told her I'd go buy a pack and be right back. I went to buy the pack and came back 10 minutes later. She had her silk shirt on and her panties and she was reading a book near my bookshelf. When I came back, I could tell it was over. She told me she wanted to go home. It was 11:30. Yeah, this is something that he should have planned in advance. Obviously, like the condoms thing he should have planned, but he should have been bringing her back home earlier than this. Because remember, she was already concerned about like it being so late. I have to drive back home. I have to drive so far. You have to move faster than this. So now it's like 11:30. She's like, man, like I should be going to bed. Like I've got to get up in the morning. This causes problems. It totally kills the mood. I walked her to her bus stop and she kissed me on the lips to say goodbye, thanking me for the night. I asked her, "Let's do it again?" And she said yes, and she got on the bus. Yeah, so this woman was needing to take the bus to get back home. You should have had this in your mind. Like, I have got to bring her home earlier than this. I can totally understand why this woman had to, get out of there early, because it's like, look, I got to take the bus home. It's going to take an hour. I got work tomorrow. All this stuff is adding up. He should have been planning it out. He should have had condoms ready. He should have been bringing her home earlier. He could have avoided all this if he just planned things a little bit better. If I could go back, I would tell her I'd run out and say, we can leave it for next time, instead of rushing to buy them, which didn't seem to transmit cool vibes. Yeah, it's like, especially like, okay, stay right here. I'll be right back. Lastly, I would not ask her to let's do it again as she got on the bus. I simply read from her passionate kiss in the mouth as she got on that she was open to the possibility already. Yeah, it's just kind of a needy thing. It just decreases attraction a little bit by you being like, let's do it again. Like, I really want to get laid with you. As Top Cat wrote to me some time ago, there's no way to see girls again without putting undue pressure on them. Putting undue pressure on them can make them want to wrest themselves free of it, despite being normally open to the possibility of seeing you again. Yes, exactly. When you put pressure on a woman, like, okay, the next time we see each other, we are going to be hooking up. Okay, and you haven't had sex with her before, yeah, good luck. You probably won't have this happen, because in her mind, she's like, I'm not horny right now. Like, when it's 5 days later, a week later, she's like, okay, if I see this guy, I'm expected to put out. And women do not want sex to be an obligation, okay? They don't want to be like expected to have sex. So they'll be like, like, I'm just going to avoid this guy now because he's expecting sex and I'm not horny right now. I don't feel like having sex right now. It has to be in the moment. I texted her just before I went to sleep. It was difficult to fall asleep last night due to the alcohol I ingested. Let me know when you arrive home. And she ghosted. Postscript. Since I wrote above, she got back to me and we're still texting intermittently. I'm pushing for the close soon. Anyway, all this nitpicking, the texting has been smooth. Everything seems to indicate that I'll be seeing her again next week. A little bit of a thing here. You can't assume you will see this woman again, okay? She may be like texting you and all this stuff, but you can't assume this girl is going to show up again. In fact, my betting odds would probably be favoring no, because again, you came so far and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter, okay? That's what happens here. You got all the way to the goal line and you fumbled the ball. Maybe this girl gives you a next second chance, but I would say it's pretty unlikely. Okay, maybe because he knows her so well from social circles, she gives him another shot. But yeah, to think that, oh, she's texting me, everything's good, I'll see her again and I'll close the show, not most likely. In fact, I would lean heavily towards the no. This is what social circle guys deal with, okay? And they're totally fine with putting all this effort in, for, kind of meager returns, okay? And at least in my opinion, I would like, if I had to do all that work, throw all those parties, throw all those like movie nights, knowing this girl for over a year, finally you get a date. It just seems like a complete waste of time. But it isn't to these social circle guys. For guys with very specific personalities that are very outgoing, they don't care whether they get laid or not, as long as everybody shows up to the party and thinks they're the man. They're cool with it. They're like, okay, I didn't get laid this time. No big deal. I'll throw another party, throw another movie night, whatever it is. It's a very specific person that does this, okay? And they tend to be very extroverted, love being the center of attention, love being, throwing parties and bringing people together. In which case, social circle is for them. Me personally, I can think of a million better ways to meet women, date women, and it doesn't involve so much work and energy and time, okay? Anyways, guys, that's the video. If you need help doing this, actually getting sexual abundance, without all this work, I help guys do that. There's coaching links down below. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Thanks for watching.